thank you for joining. This week we're going to be looking at a bit of railway history, continuing work on our baseboard and a few other surprises.
In one of the earlier programmes we talked about researching the railway that you'd like to build. It's not a requirement, but sometimes it's nice to get some ideas from railways that already exist. So as you know, our railway is based on the Longmoor Military Railway. So I've been collecting a few other books in the last few weeks with some more information. So this is one, Railways Around Alton, but it includes the Longmoor Military Railway. See a nice colour photo there of Gordon, the 210O. I've got another interesting book here as well, Longmoor Military Railway, and it's got a few interesting things I found in here. So when they use the railway to do training. So one of the parts of the training is signal school. So they actually built a model railway for the signal school, so they can practice teaching people how to operate the signals on a real railway. And you see here, there's actually a real photo at the top. You see of the model railway here. So that's their own. It was actually O gauge. Again, if you go back a few programs, you can look at O gauge size. So that's quite a bit bigger. But they actually have got their own real model railway at Longmoor. So that was quite cool as well. And then I found these books, which is a complete history of the military railway at Longmoor. So starting in 1903. So that's a very long time ago. And again, in here, there's different pictures and all sorts of strange contraptions they've invented to put rail out. So again, that was during the war. Longmoor also, they all their military huts, they moved from a different site. So they moved it quite a few miles and they put all their huts on these. They made two little tracks and put the huts on the tracks and actually wheeled them from one site to another. So that was quite fun. I think they managed to destroy one. It crashed going down a hill. Volume 2, World War II and the Cold War. So again, we're starting to get a couple of colour photos in this one. And here you see some more different photos. The book is just full of all sorts of information. I've not read all of them yet. I'm starting to go through some of them. But you see we've got a lot of sort of pictures in there. A lot of information, how they ran the railway, things that went on. And then this was the last book in the series, so volume 3. So this goes up to the point when they closed it in 1969. So which is before most of us were born. Well, I was just born. But in this one, they've actually got some nice colour photos. So we can start to see what Longmoor looked like in colour. So this is the 280 that we've got. We've got two models of that. Actually 400 is one of the models that we've got, number 400 you see there. So I've actually got a model of that one. And then also another one we've got a model of is 196. So you see here there's a picture of 196 at the station. So again we've got a model of that one. Well, yeah, there you go, there's 196. So we've got a little model of that. So actually there you go, it's painted. This is a nicer photo. So with a carriage on the back. So again, the books are nice, they're useful. Lots of information that we can use to get some ideas. You can see things like where the trees were, and so we can put some trees around the line. And even things like the colour of the ballast, we can see that now as well. So when we do the ballasting on the track, we can use a similar sort of colours, so that everything has got a similar style to Longmoor itself. So it makes it a little bit interesting and gives us something to research and read a few books. Sylvia's been hard at work, so she's made a station building. So this is like a little booking hall. So it's quite good. You can see both sides of it. She's also made a waiting room as well, a little waiting room that also sits on the station platform. And also made a little Nissen hut, so quite cute as well. So she's made a few buildings. Now this station building is going to go here. There's a platform, and Sylvia's complaining at me that this track is in her way. So we're going to have a little bit of a rethink and see if we can redesign this section of the track. So we may well put a connection here, another point, and come down here to join up to this line, and then we'll get rid of this piece here. So it cuts down our storage a little bit, which I don't particularly want to do. but it keeps Sylvia happy, so she's got more room to put her station and her platforms in. So we're going to have a look at redesigning that on the computer, and we'll see what plan we come up with.
So this is the original plan that we made, and you can see here this track comes in separately, goes up here. This track is a bit longer, so Sylvia's been asking to get a bit more space here so she can put her station buildings and a platform in there. So we have to do something with this track, so obviously getting rid of this track and then perhaps doing something else, because it's not easy to store something here really. I mean, you could put a train there maybe, but there's not a lot of space. So Sylvia said, can we connect this to this track here? So then I reworked the plan. So now you can see here, I've got this track coming up here and connecting onto a point and going here. So there have been some changes here. I've had to change the angle of these tracks, otherwise they'll be too tight. But this section here is good. There's enough room here to put the train so that we can move it around to the other side. And I've got this connection now back to that main line. So they can come in off the outside track down to the station, and then the train can run around to pick up the carriages and then go back on the inside track. So we've got a bit of variation there that we can use. We've created the new risers. So yeah, we cut those out. I've now put them onto the board. I fixed them on one end. I've now got my template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now draw the track line onto the board, because it's not on there at the moment, onto that riser. So what I need to do is to cut out one half of the template. So we cut that piece out, and then basically I'll cut the whole thing, and then I'll take my pen and I will now draw the line where the track is going to go. So you see now, when I take the template off, I've got the line there. So I'll cut this side, I'll cut one side first, draw my line, and then I'll put it back on. I'll cut the other side and then draw the other line. So I'll get both lines on the template. You'll see on the other side that I've already done that. So you can see here, I've now got my template and I've drawn my lines on that section already. You should be able to see that there. So once I've done that, then I can start sticking the track underlay down onto the risers. That's all drawn on there now, so you can see all the way up to the top. I've now got my section drawn on. Now I'm going to be cutting the underlay. So we've got the track underlay here. On the back of the track underlay, I don't know if you can quite see it, there's a line. So now I'm going to cut down that line to split it into two pieces, so that we can bend it around the track. We're going to take our knife and, of course, very carefully, this is only a little blade, I'm going to leave a gap at the beginning so I can stick that down, that holds it. But then now I'm going to take the rest of it and I'm going to cut down that line, trying to keep to the line as much as possible so we keep it nice and straight. We keep going all the way down. So you just have to be very careful and follow the line. So I don't want to use too long a piece, because then it becomes harder to work with on the railway. So we just use some shorter pieces, and I'll show you in a second how it bends round. But we're just going to, finish cutting this. See, if you don't concentrate, you go a little bit crooked. So I'm nearly at the end. Just a little bit more to go, and there we go. So that's all now cut. Can you see now it's split into two pieces? So when we put that on the track, now I can bend it a little bit more, and it's a little bit easier to bend. If you try and bend it when it's joined together, it bends up and it doesn't go nicely. So now we've cut it into two pieces. It will actually bend nicely around the corners. Now we're going to go and stick that on the risers. So to glue down the foam, I normally do it in small sections. So I do a section about as long as one of these little plastic things. So I mark on the baseboard where I'm going to glue up to. I then get some PVA glue. We put a couple of blobs of the glue on the track bed, like that. And then I use my little plastic spatula to squeeze the glue all the way down the track up to the end, and then that makes a nice flat glue bed. So then we can then put the track bed down. You see I can now bend this round using the, because it's cut into 2 pieces. So we bend that round, push it down a bit. I'll put something on to support it, a bit of weight to hold that piece there. And then now we wait for at least 10 minutes for that to dry, and then I can do the next section. So it's a little bit slow going, but for modelling you have to be patient anyway. So we're taking our time. Well, we had a brilliant idea of pinning the foam down. So we put all the glue on and we've now pinned it all down. So that's quicker than doing it a bit at a time. We learn as we go along, new techniques, new ways of doing things. Don't always have to assume that the way we're doing it is the right way. So sometimes other people come up with better ideas. Well, I've been waiting for this box for a little while, so you can enjoy opening it with me as well. And we'll be able to show you what is in it. Now, it's not like a lot of these other YouTube unboxers. I don't think I'm going to get millions of views on this one. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see. Here we go. Aha. Here's my box. There's one box and another box. So, you probably don't even know what this is. And I wouldn't know either if I hadn't ordered it myself. So this is there you go, a Z21 digital control system. Yeah, exciting. So this is what we will use to control the trains. So it doesn't look terribly exciting. It's a Z21. There you go. It's got a box and some connections. That's where the power goes to the track. So we've got a little power control unit that we have to plug in, and then we have another box here, which is a wireless router. So this is so that we can control the trains pretty much with our phones or with our tablets. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? I would show you the application, but it's on my phone. And I'm using that to record this. So I will cut out and come back with an iPad and I'll show you the application. We have an application on the iPad. It's called Z21. So it takes us into the application itself. And we've got some different things we can do. We can add in the trains, we can control the trains, we can program some of the things. If you have a train with a video camera in the driver cab, then you can actually look at that as well. You've got the layouts that you can design and set up, and then all your basic settings. So when you're running, this runs on a small iPhone as well as an iPad and other devices, I think. So now when we want to operate the trains, you can see on the right hand side I've got the layout here. This isn't my layout, I haven't programmed it yet. On the left-hand side, we've got the trains. So I can choose, which train I want to operate if I've got different trains. So you can see, you can select your different trains. So you look at your layout, you make sure you've got the right place. So for example, I can change to go to a different location. So just by touching on it, and that'll then, when I set up my electric points, that'll change everything for me. So you see now I've changed the layout. Then I can now pick up my train and then just start moving the train, and the train goes around the track. If you've got other controls, things like if there's lights on the train, I can turn the lights on, or maybe if there's sound, some of the trains have sounds, or like here, for example, you see this train, I could start that train off, and then there's sounds on there. So like I can make the siren go off, or ring the bell, or there's a trumpet, a horn thing. So different trains will have different controls. Some of mine also have sound. So we'll see that later when we get it all running. But yeah, it's a clever little piece of software, and it means that we can we can sort of drive the train and do what we want with the control. It makes everything a lot easier to control. So here, like for example, you can design your own layout. Okay, hold on. Anyway, okay, well, we'll look at that another day when actually I know how to use the thing. So, but yeah, so we will we'll get that up and running a bit later on. We're not quite ready for that yet, but I'm quite excited to have my new control system.
Well, it's been great having you along. We'll see you on the next show.
8:35.